Merry Meet. Annie here. I didn't get anything uploaded in time for Mabon this year because of, well, the challenges I mentioned in my recent update and channel update vlog. But it's not too late. Mabon runs the season right up until the eve of Samhain. So I'd like to share now what ideally I would have shared a couple of days before Mabon itself. I have a couple of videos out there already. A few on Mabon, I guess because it's obvious I like it so much. A couple of them, I think, are particularly good. One is on the gods, and I've linked that as the first video in the comment section below. I wouldn't add much to that video. I think most of us who live the wheel of the year, season to season, stop to consider who the gods are to us in that time. We think of the season, the elements, and the gods. It's kind of like the trinity of what we consider in our practice and in what we do. What story of the gods will you honor in the turning of the year? Your story might not be just like mine. Even if we have the same name for ourselves, we may have slightly different stories. We may have specific deities we react to, respond to, or who call out to us in each season that passes. And there'll be differences amongst us. But those deities, considering the time of the year, probably have a lot in common. I'd suggest you might want to look at the first video that I have linked below. The second video that I've linked below had to do with, I can't remember if I was preparing for or reflecting on having done a Mabon rite. And I think I did a pretty good job. I wouldn't change much, if anything, about that if I were doing it now. That's been a few years back that I did it. The things that leapt out to me when I looked at it now was the importance of the luxury of time that the season, not just Mabon, the day, but the season, the luxury of time that is presented to us in which we can look back. Looking back is not something that's necessarily part of our practice without being intentional about it. We're very much about being in the now, experiencing life with all its ups and downs deeply. That's who we are as earth-based practitioners, being present to the physicality and the experience of living in the now. And we do make plans and look forward to the future. We don't always take time to look back. And in fact, sometimes we're told we don't want to live in the past. But this luxury of looking back that is part of the season, the length of Mabon, it's not about living in the past. It's about looking back, especially over this time since the new year, Samhain, just passed, through all of the turnings of the wheel that bring us to now. We've changed. Without a doubt, we have changed. We've changed who we are in relation to others. Our situation could have changed drastically. More than likely, there's even been spiritual changes, energetic changes, because we've experienced things along the way. If we look at Mabon as the wave that's been building throughout the entire length of the year since Samhain last, we're reaching a point before we let go and fall to the peace and the quiet that's the season of Samhain. We're at the peak of something now. Looking back helps us to realize what's been growing and building and becoming in the turning of the past year. At the peak of that wave, we have a responsibility to the turning of the season of Mabon, which is to pack our knapsack. Yes, I'm going to use a fool as a metaphor for who we are at this time of the year. There's the fool in the tarot, poised at the edge of that cliff, about to take a leap. He's not a fool in the sense that he knows nothing. He doesn't know about the future, but he has absolute faith and trust in it. That's what his leap entails. He has packed his knapsack with the important things. Notice, he's not lugging along a lot of baggage. He has carefully considered and packed and taken forward with him by intent the things that matter the most to him, the things he's learned in the last turning, since he's last been at the edge of the cliff. His leap off that cliff isn't a tumble down and bouncing off of rocks to his demise. His leap is he is at the peak. He's at his peak, his personal peak this time around, and he's leaping with exultation into the future. He's got with him what matters the most, and he's eager to see what comes next. That is the energy of the season of Mabon. Arriving at a peak and leaping in with a feeling of faith and trust into the unknown. That's what we explore during the season of Samhain. But I wanted to reiterate the power of the Fool as an example of the power of this time of the year. We stop to consider what have we learned from what brought us to this place before our metaphorical leap into the unknown that Samhain represents. We're not living in the past. We are honoring it, deciding what of it has inspired us, changed us, made us who we are now, sometimes through its challenges, and then we leap. It's about that moment of being poised on the edge, balance, so much a part of the autumnal equinox. Balance between past and future, between activity and quiet, between being in the known, that journey that the Fool has made to this point, and then leaping into the unknown. We are the Fool. I suggest that's something you might want to explore as a topic for this season, especially where are you right now? How did you get here? And what are you willing to take with you into your leap into the unknown? I mentioned a quote in that second video linked below from Wendell Berry. At the time, I didn't know where the quote was from, although I knew it was his. Actually, I reread his book, The Timbered Choir, recently. Sure enough, that's where the quote's from. We're at a point where something ends and something begins. We consider what will begin in the season of Samhain. Right now, we're honoring that something is ending. A cycle in our life is ending. And I love the simplicity of this quote that is part of a larger poem, but it's these words which just, to me, capture the feeling, the energy, the power of this time in the season of Mabon. And that quote is simply, "Summer has ended. We must find a new way." I wish you all mirth and reverence. Merry part.